Alrighty, alrighty. Well, how's it going? Episode number 3. All of, we don't have anybody really watching these yet, which is okay. That's gonna happen. It's gonna take a while, and I'm not too hurt over it. Anyway, so big show today. We're gonna be going over quite a few different things. We're gonna be talking about the Imperial Fist Primaris box. I tried to talk about it about 2 weeks ago, but couldn't find pictures online, all this sort of stuff. It was in the holiday guide, and I saw some stuff in the holiday guide, and I talked to my GW guy, and he kind of gave me the, right? So I tried to talk about it 2 weeks ago, but there was no pictures online or anything. So they finally put that up, because that's coming out this next week. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Heroes, Warhammer Heroes. We're going to be talking about the Warhammer Advent Calendar. We're going to be talking about the Vigilius weekend, all the cool stuff that's happening with that. We're going to talk about an author called Robert E. Howard, and we're going to be talking about grayed out dice bags. I'm going to be highlighting some of his stuff because he's somebody that I've been watching, and I'm interested in his products. So we're going to be talking about that. But that'll be at the end of the show. For right now, let's get started.
Worry not, my child, for Nurgle loves you.
Okay, little fella. How about some hot chocolate?
All right, my friends, got to turn up the mic here. I always forget to do that. All right, so first thing that we're going to be talking about today is just updates with me, updates with the channel, what we're doing and stuff like that. The pilot, I'm working on a pilot for a cooking show, but it's for painting. That's taking longer than expected, just because I'm not wanting to put out something that I'm not happy with, and it's taking a little bit of work. But once it's set up, once I have all the pieces and parts, it'll go really fast. This is one of the reasons why I'm looking at grayed out dice bags too, because he may be one of the first prizes that I give out for that show. He's I like the stuff that he does, so we'll be doing that. Looks like we got our one watcher. So that's either me or it's the YouTube people, whatever those are called. Content control folks. Anyway, so that's taking a little bit longer to put together. My blog is also taking a little bit longer, partially because it's Thanksgiving, and partially because there's just a lot on my plate I'd like to get done. These live shows are relatively easy. There's a lot of front-end work as far as research and stuff like that goes, but once you get started, they're not too bad. So that's kind of what's going on with me. I'm hoping to have some of that stuff deployed this next week or the week after, being a little more realistic about some of the some of how that stuff works, and whatnot. So let's just bust right in. So what we're going to be talking about first of all is let's just look at right here. So the coming next week, Titans, teams, gangs, all that stuff, and that's coming up this next week, and that was put out today actually. And so there's some cool stuff for Titans. It's a Titan battle group, which is nifty. There's some cool Blood Bowl stuff. I don't play Blood Bowl. I like the miniatures. I don't play it, so I honestly don't know anything about that part of that game, but it looks really, really nice. More Blood Bowl, more Necromunda. There's let's see, what are these guys? Yeah, they're the Delaque gang. So I don't play Necromunda either. So I honestly have no idea about any of that, of House Delaque, what that is. Okay, so this is what we were what I was talking about week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago now. Are these battle groups, which really there's nothing ultimately too special. You know, Death Guard has some stuff. I think that's is that a surgeon? Yeah, I think that's a surgeon. You know, these little battle groups. But here's the one that I'm mostly interested in is this Imperial Fist. Now I was able to put together a better picture of what we're talking about. So, as you can see, you know, it's got your Redemptor Dreadnought. It's got your standard Primaris. It's very much like the other one. But if you look down in, let me get this guy to switch here. Down in this corner, there's a couple different things that I saw that I found interesting. One, if you notice, the Sergeant has a Power Fist. Right? So there's a Power Fist, which there's, you know, they're not set up for Power Fists in the book, so this is going to have to be in Chapter Approved. But with we'll be talking about Calgar a little bit later, it makes sense that they're bringing the Power Fists in as they slowly transition away from the older Marines into the Primaris Marines. And this was something that my GW guy kind of nodded towards, just because I bitch and complain about the Primaris a lot, especially their melee options. You know, they don't have the, you know, chain axes and shit. But essentially, there's a he's got a Power Fist, right? So now they're rocking the Power Fist, which is nice. Second one over is the bald-headed dude there, double-barreled something. Some kind of bolter, which that's interesting. But the next one over, if you go all the way to the right-hand side when you're looking at the screen, dude's got like a light on his backpack. And something nags at my memory, but I can't, for the life of me, remember if that was a normal part. And I looked through my Primaris, or my new Space Marine Codex, and I saw no other gear for, you know, like a light. And there's two models, actually, one of the Hellblasters and one of the Intercessors, that each have that light. So maybe they're a sergeant of some kind. I don't really know what's up with that. The other thing, if you notice, he's reloading is the magazine on his bolter, which I think is sexy as hell. I think that's a great little deal. But nonetheless, you know, just some interesting bits, and I'm sure there's some like Imperial Fist, you know, shoulder pads and knee pads and indicators and stuff, which that'll be good if you're running like a Crimson Fist or one of the other Dorn Bros. So I think that's pretty nifty. This is the normal Space Marines Primaris Interdictors, right? And Primaris Interdiction Force. You got Scouts, you got all the normal giddy up, right? Obviously, with the Imperial Fist, there's a different, you know, lieutenant or captain. There's a million lieutenants, so you know, however that works. The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, this is a pretty sexy box, right? It's got a lot of really good models in it. If I was starting a Mechanicus, I would actually be going with this box itself, just because it's kind of got the heavy walker, you know, and a couple of these big boys. So that's not a bad little box. And those are your 40K. Now there are Age of Sigmar, which I don't play Age of Sigmar, right? But they have, you know, fucking flying sharks and shit. So I may end up having to do that. But I don't know these well enough that I would be able to tell you anything about them. You know, I was trying to zoom in on those Daughters of Cain. Those look pretty, you know, Daughters of Cain are pretty sweet. Little models, but I don't know if what's new and what's not new and what's in any of that, because I don't do those. I got a buddy playing Seraphon, and those are interesting models. Those look really good. especially the bigger models. The little one's kind of dorky, but the big, like, T-Rex looking motherfuckers are pretty awesome. And then there's, you got, some Middle-earth stuff. Thor and Oakenshield and Company, which I don't play that either, so I'm not too worried about. I'm pretty much worried about that big guy, all in all. Okay, so anyways, so I'd be curious to see, and we'll actually be talking about Chapter Approved here in just a minute. I'd be curious to see what they end up doing with all of that kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. So, all right, moving right along. Once more to talk about Warhammer Heroes. Come November 9th, I believe. I think it's November 9th. November 29th. So in 4 days. So I'll be calling for this next week as well. Nominations open up for the Warhammer Heroes, which is, it's for people that are helping people get into the community and stuff like that. And I'm going to be really pushing for everybody, all my non-existent watchers, and I have 500 Twitter followers, so I'll nag them. At least the hobby bros will do it. The thoughts that follow me and the bots won't. But so, anyways, we need to nominate Lonely Havocs for this Heroes deal. Basically, it's people that help get other people into the community and get them doing stuff. And I know Lonely does a lot of that stuff, and he's an all-around good dude. So we just need to do that. That's coming up on the 29th. So this would be someone you can nominate. There were 12,000 nominations last year, so he may not get it, but at least it would be worth putting out there, and I'll hustle it a little bit more. Next thing that I find interesting is the Blacklight Library Advent Calendar. That's gonna be their short stories. Their some are MP3, some are PDF ebooks, and basically they're just every day they're coming out with new stuff, and so I'll be looking at that. I haven't actually done the Advent Calendar before. The artwork's sweet, and that's not a Sigmar Beastman, by the way. Look at that. That's a freaking Imperial. It looks like almost an Inquisitor. Gore Halfhorn. Oh, he's a bounty hunter. Cool. And there's Horus Heresy stuff and Blackstone Fortress, and so that one seems pretty interesting. I just thought I'd bring that up in case anybody was looking at or interested in that. All right, so this is the big thing for this weekend, which was news from the Vigilius Open Day. There's some cool pictures of people. I don't know any of these people. I don't know who these people are. I'm assuming GW staff, but the cosplays are nice. Why Bro has sunglasses on, I have no idea. The Tau was pretty good. I do like him bayoneting a Tau. That does warm my soul, and I forgive the sunglasses because he's bayoneting a Tau. I like that bro as well. I don't know what's up with his gun, but his chainsword and purple armor kicks ass, except for he's a loyalist, and so I have no idea what he's doing. If he was a Salaanesh, I would have been all about him, but he's not. But still, I like that bro. That's fucking badass. That's pretty badass. I don't know what chapter that bro is. Almost because of the Maori, I would say Karkadon, huh? Yeah. Yep, Karkadon. He's got shark teeth. Cool, bro. That's actually not too bad. I need a Karkadon fucking cosplay. Alright, so the first big thing, big reveal, they'd been talking about the Genestealer. Well, they'd been releasing an image, and it was basically a grayed out version of this one right here. And it's actually Warhammer World, that's a cool idea. And essentially, so this Genestealer is a remake of an older model, and I should have gotten his. I should have gotten that model out. They did a lot of they did several remakes in this one, but Genestealer's got some love, man. We'll talk about that, bro, in a minute. Where's the Genestealers? Genestealers. There we go. Look at that. So the four wheelers is sweet. They got some really mobile Genestealers. This bro's rocking dynamite. You know, these bros look pretty sweet. And a freaking motorbike sniper. So he's a little cross-eyed, but that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, notice that bro has dynamite. And he's on a four-wheeler. And there's another image of a guy with a four-wheeler that was on Twitter. That's pretty badass. There's a Day of Ascension Genestealer video you guys can watch. I'm not going to make you watch that. We're just talking about what's going on. Next thing up is this bro. Well, actually, no. Next thing up is Calgar. Where is that bro at? Let's get down to him. Here we go. Yeah. Marnius Calgar. This is a bad fool. And he's had 4 different models over the ages. He's the chapter master for the Ultramarines, which he relinquished to Guilliman when Guilliman showed up, which makes some people are joking on Twitter that makes him a lieutenant. That he's a lieutenant. One of the many, and the joke being that they keep releasing Space Marine lieutenants, right? But so Calgar, among his many deeds, one of the things that I found most interesting is his he punched a aspect of Cain, avatar of Cain. Punched him, cut him in half, which I thought was rather impressive. Where's my? Dude, what is my Space Marine Codex at? There. My wife does this for me because I have no eye for anything, and she's good at making stuff look good. But I was gonna see if he was in their codex because I thought he was. Yeah, Calgar, 7 wounds. Let's see. Is it 7 wounds? Yeah, 7 wounds. Movement 5. Weapon skill 2+. So, I mean, he's got teleportation. He's got the big fist. Plus, he's got bolters on those fists. The fists are interesting because supposedly Guilliman took them back from a heretic. But I can't remember what the story is behind that, or what the heretic is. But you know, that's one of those things. There's too much to know, and I regularly forget some shit. But let's see. So what I wanted to show you here is here's the 4 models of Calgar, and then here's the 4 models of Abaddon. Abaddon's do some love. Although, admittedly, Abaddon's model was pretty badass and has been for some time. Calgar's kind of went through some changes, but I always liked the Rogue Trader version of Calgar because it made him look like he was taking a shit, and so that just was kind of the thing. There's a robed Space Marine behind him that I always thought was rather interesting. Because like in the Rogue Trader days, things were quite a bit different. Like Custodes wore no armor. They basically were like Spartans. They just had a loincloth. You know, and so there was a lot of different stuff back in the Rogue Trader days. But anyways, so here we have the Calgar in his many iterations, and then Abaddon in his many iterations. Let's see. Oh, and just so there's this guy here. What's his name? It's lacking. Consider. Yeah. Harkin World Claimer. Harkin? Really? His name's Harkin. I mean, he looks like a badass model. He's got jump pack and spear and claws and lots of skulls and stuff. And I'm probably still good. I mean, like, he's a badass looking raptor dude. But Harkin? Harkin, from whence the world bringer, or what is he? World claimer has come. Right? So I wasn't impressed with that one, but yeah, I don't know. And then there's obviously the Vigilius book or whatever that's going on there. Vigilius is a planet close to the Cadian Gate, so it got its Cadia, got its ass whooped, and so now they're invading the next thing. And so that brings us to our next piece, which is the Salaanesh. Salaanesh got a lot of love. If you're a Salaanesh player, this is a time to be a happy camper. So this is a noise marine, badass noise marine, which, I mean, he's mutated. He's even got hooves, boots, the kind of like an 80s style boot, leopard print freaking greaves, which I don't know who painted that. But that's a badass marine right there. And so let's get back to, well, here we are. We're going to move to our next model. So here's your badass marine, but this is what he looked like before. Still, he was a pretty nifty looking noise marine, but that's the older version of the noise marine. This is what I grew up on. So when I was coming up, these were the noise marines. Which I didn't know anybody that actually played Salaanesh. They were always like sitting in the hobby shop, and no one would buy them. But Emperor's Children and all that. But there's a new dual army set, Rapture and Wrath, that came out, and that's going to be Cain, Khorne, and Salaanesh demons fighting. So they're definitely getting some serious demon love. I didn't see anything from the Khorne side that looked like it stood out to me. It looked like it just a bunch of bloodletters and whatnot. There's a cool video. There's a cool video here. Let's see. Yeah, and there's the dog's cool. But this Realm of Chaos, Wrath, and Rapture video, that's worth watching. Just give it a run. And it just kind of goes over stuff. But I thought those dogs, I don't know if those dogs new. So I'm not a Khorne player. So I don't know. Those look decent. But getting back to Salaanesh. Salaanesh had got a lot of love, a lot of the demonettes there. The big one that got a lot of people really excited is that harp, and that's a badass harp. Now a lot of people were saying, myself included, I really felt like they were going to start getting rid of Salaanesh because Salaanesh is, as a parent, a lot of people are more okay with violence than they are sexual content, and by far, I mean, Salaanesh is a pretty hardcore demon god, right? The Nurgle's pretty bad because you're looking at like pestilence and stuff. But like even my 5-year-old nephew likes to play Death Guard. He likes the zombie guards guys, but the zombie marines as he calls them. But the Salaanesh is pretty hardcore. I mean, not many armies in the 40k universe rape you to death with like hooks on their dicks, right? Or some shit like that. So I really felt like they were going to be getting rid of Salaanesh, and they really did a great job of making this into something that, I mean, they just did a fantastic job on this. If you notice, the dude is the harp, right? The dude is the harp, and then tendons are pulled out of his back into the harp itself, which you have to wonder, is the sound coming from those tendons that she's playing, or are they the screams that are coming out of the guy whose back they ripped out of? So very impressive. I'm glad they're bringing Salaanesh back. When they came out with these bad mothers, you know, they have boobs. So I kind of felt like they're, you know, maybe going to give Salaanesh some love, you know, because, you know, here you got boob demons, you know. So that kind of gave me some indication, but I had no idea that they were going to be going to a man-made harp, a harp made of man flesh, which is pretty fucking badass. Here's another image of boob demon, which, you know, boob demon's impressive. I'm very impressed with how these demons are looking. I've been really impressed with let's do this. Uh-oh, my camera's out. Camera? Of course. Huh. The camera's out. Mad at me. Please stand by while I figure out what's going on here. Of course, of course. Well, it looks as though Grandfather has blessed me. My stream with my camera putzing out on me for no apparent reason. Oh well. We will carry on as though we know what we're doing. You don't have going. So Warlord Titans, if you're into that. But okay, Chapter Approved. So Chapter Approved is something that I'm very interested in. Essentially, with Chapter Approved, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pike, and I'm curious to see what that stuff entails. Predominantly, there's two things. One, they're supposed to be giving you the ability to more easily create your own heroes for your army, and I think that's going to be a big deal. I think that's going to matter quite a bit, because that's kind of a cool deal. You know, because who doesn't want their own legendary heroes? I'm hoping that the other armies, not just the Imperial armies, get it. We'll see what that means. But a new character creation system, I think, is very cool, and I'm looking forward to see what that actually means. Next piece with that is there's supposed to be some sheets coming out for Blackstone Fortress, which I think would be pretty badass. Basically, you can just put those Blackstone Fortress people into your armies. And someone was telling me today even that there's a possibility of a kill team. So essentially you could make your people from Blackstone Fortress into a kill team. I don't know. We'll actually see if that actually works or if that actually happens. I don't know if that is actually going to happen. We'll see. But and then there's some good news for Grey Knights, I guess. They dropped the points. There's some of the points have been dropped out of the Greystone Fortress. And then finally, there's some teasers towards the Adeptus Sororitas book, which I'm very excited about. I think this is a long time coming, and I'm excited to see Plastic Sisters of Battle. So this is one of them. This is kind of an interesting thing where you basically have to have three different weapons: a flamer, a melta, and a bolt weapon. And if they all are in the same area, then you add one to all the wound rolls made for firing the units until the end of the phase. So that's an interesting. There's going to be a lot of flamers and a lot of meltas and a lot of bolters all in the same units, which I think is going to make for some interesting, kind of spread out play. But that'll be, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's something I'm interested in. So, relatively busy week for, especially with the Vigilius stuff. There's good. If you go to the Warhammer community, you can look into that kind of stuff, and we'll see what comes out next week. There should be some good stuff coming out for Christmas, and all that fun stuff. All right. We've been moving pretty fast today. Like I say, I'm trying to get these down to an hour. So we're just going to be chucking right along, and we won't end up taking that much. Man, my Starship Troopers poster from like the 90s fell down. So anyways, Nurgle is blessing the crap out of this stream. But luckily, no one watches this, so I'll get much better before anybody actually watches my streams. All right, let's move on to my highlights in nerddom, my historical discussions. And we're going to be talking about a cat named Robert E. Howard. So Robert E. Howard wrote the Conan short stories, okay? If you're not familiar with these, if you haven't actually read these, I strongly encourage you to read them. The movies with like Arnold or what's his name? Jason Momoa. This cat. Whoever that cat was. I don't remember his name. I don't follow actors very much. Anyways, if you haven't read Conan, like the real Conan, the old school Conan, this kind of good stuff, I strongly recommend it. They're short stories. They're wicked good and wicked fun. It's interesting how somebody can take such a vast amount of information and put it into a short story, right? And it's something that you are only listening to for a few minutes. And he's very, very good at making you, at glossing over details that are unnecessary, but keeping in details that are necessary. So Robert E. Howard, I would recommend his books time and time again as kind of a foundational kind of thing. So if you get into nerd stuff and you kind of want to understand where some of these stories came from, some of these genres, modern Conan stuff is fine. I don't really have a problem with that, but that's not what I really get into. I like old Conan stories, old Conan books. I mean, are just amazing amazing. Now, if you might say, well, Tallyman, I don't want to spend money on these books because I just want to know what they are and yada, yada, yada. Cool thing about this is the majority of his work is public domain. So you can actually go over to LibriVox. And he died in 1936, so he's basically 30, which is fascinating. Anyways, so there's not just Conan stuff here. But if you go through, there's 25 Robert E. Howard, Jewels of Gwalar, that's a good one. The Hour of the Dragon, that's a good one. There's 25 different audiobooks that, and like even this, The Hyborian Age, that's a short science fiction collection. Skulls in the Stars, A Witch Shall Be Born. I like A Witch Shall Be Born. That's one that I really enjoy. So there's 25 different audiobooks on LibriVox. These are free. I'll probably start actually hosting some of these on my channel, and maybe that'll help get folks to be more interested in Robert E. Howard and kind of give them a different platform, because not everybody uses LibriVox. Nobody knows really what it is, so I might just start a classics in literature playlist on my channel, so keep an eye out for that if you do end up watching this stream. I'll be covering some of these things so that you can, kind of keep up with what's going on. But Robert E. Howard is a fantastic author. He was friends with Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft. In fact, Conan and Cthulhu are in the same universe. So if you get into the reading of his, you'll actually you'll start bleeding into the Cthulhu stuff, which we'll do H.P. Lovecraft next week. He's a little bit hairier just because some of his stuff is being claimed as copyright. I disagree with it being a copyright, but LibriVox itself won't fight with like the Cthulhu, the company that claims to own Cthulhu. I don't believe, based on the reading that I've done, that they have much of a claim. I don't really much believe in that after 50 years anyways. If somebody is an author, if they, after the work is published, if it's still in copyright 50 years later, I think it hurts communities and society more than it helps, because you can't use that material, and it's already been a generation, so if someone's an influential author and you can't use their stuff to bolster your own stuff or to get into their, to use those things, I think that's detrimental, because that just consigns a lot of these authors to the back of the library, where unless you know who they are, you don't hear about them, because people are constantly struggling to suppress anything that comes out about them. So that's Robert E. Howard. That's what we're talking about. And so the final thing is kind of a community look. We're going to be looking at grayed out dice bags. Now, he doesn't know I'm doing this, so, if you ever see this, sorry I'm not a good salesman, bro. But he actually makes really sweet looking dice bags. And he can be found on, his Twitter handle is Gray Like Storms. And we're going to be, when I get this game show started, he's going to be I think I'm going to be giving out his stuff as prizes, at least in the beginning, because I really like his stuff, and I think he works really hard. And he has some, really cool concepts, like dice bags with pockets. I think that's an interesting idea. And he has an eBay, or he has an Etsy. He's grayed out on Etsy, and goofy ass smile, selling his wares. Silly guy. Anyways, he's actually really cool to talk to. Oh no, I dropped his Etsy page because I was going to show you some of the cool stuff that he does. But basically, he builds these dice bags so you can keep a hold of your stuff. But you know, and he's got a ton of different dice bags, ton of different stuff going on. If you're not even, you know, if you're in Warhammer, if you're in something else, that's very cool. It's an Evil Moon dice bag. So, anyways, he is someone that I really think needs a little bit of love, especially for the Christmas time. So it's great out on Etsy. Like I said, he's going to be my first prizes for my game show. I gotta actually order a couple of those, so in case I actually get anybody playing my game show. And yeah, I think he's an interesting community entrepreneur. So he's worth taking a look at. Now, normally, my friends, I would talk about some other stuff, but because I have no camera, my camera crapped out on me. It's a brand new camera. I'm going to have to play with it and see what's going on. Let me try one thing real quick. Nope. Camera dead. So, I'm going to have to get another camera. That was a brand new camera, by the way. I don't know what's up. It doesn't look like it's getting power. No lights on the... And I plugged it in and unplugged it. And that sucks. So I wonder what happened. Anyways, I'll talk about the game show next week. Hopefully I'll get it released and get my pilot up so you guys can see that, and we'll kind of talk about how that's going to work. Because really the plan is to get people in the community to compete with each other. I'm, you know, some of them professionals, sure, but I'm more interested in the community. You know, getting some of these hobbyists competing with one another and doing stuff. So, anyways, if you like the show, if you stuck around this long, thank you very much. 42 minutes in, so we did a lot better this time. We weren't near as long as last time. You can, if you subscribe down at the bottom. I'm really working to get this channel off the ground so I can kind of make some of the stuff that I would like to see from the community, and kind of get some programming that I'm interested in, and see if there's others out there that are interested. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. If not, there's also my Twitter at Nurgle Loves You. Good old-fashioned Nurgle. Nurgle Loves You is my Twitter, and if you follow me there, that'd be great as well. Well, as I said, friends, I'm sorry I have some technical difficulties. I don't know how to fix them. So, that being said, have a great week.